Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to create an HR policy. In HR policies, we have 4 different steps. First is the policy mapping. Over here, you add the new HR policy. Let's suppose you add attendance policy. Then you select the branch you created the policy for and the number of departments. Right after that, you set your payroll settings. In payroll settings, we have 3 different options. You select the time base if your organization has a fixed in-time and out-time from 9 to 5 p.m. If an employee works overtime, then its required duty timings. Will he be paid or not? In this scenario, we select time base. In attendance base, if your organization doesn't have shift timings and employees present and absentee is only marked, in that scenario, we select attendance base. In hourly base, we also define our required working hours. Suppose your required working hour is 8 to 6 hour shift. So within that shift, 6 hours should be dedicated to work, which are mandatory. Now in maximum shift retaining hours, we define our new shift attendance. It means that after your 12-hour shift, in which 8 hours shift and 4 hours overtime, when will the next 12-hour shift begin? We define that in maximum shift retaining hours. After payroll setting, you define your organization's working hours. So you set your shift start time and shift closing time. Now, some of the employees, if they happen to come late or get stuck in traffic, an organization can give them a grace period of 10 or 5 minutes in late coming leniency option. Early arrival policy. Early arrival policy is for early arrived employees. Actual time is selected if an employee comes early than his starting shift time. Suppose he comes at 8 rather than 9. Will his overtime be counted? Shift time is selected when his overtime isn't counted. Then we have forced timeout and timeout policy. Suppose an employee forgets marking his out time after his shift is over. The system can then automatically mark his present after a defined set of hours. Timeout policy is when employees forgets marking, will that automatic mark will be counted as present, absent, half day or 1 hour. In late minute monthly bucket, you define the number of late minutes assigned to employees and set penalty in latecomers penalty for those not following the time conditions. Then you click on number of working days and their start and close time. When you select time base in payslip generation type, the third step is per day percentage attendance rules. Suppose an organization has a 50% attendance policy. It means that 30% of your attendance would be considered if you have an 8-hour shift and you only spend 4 hours. So your boss would consider 30% of your attendance in that scenario. Next is overtime and leave settings. In daily overtime counter, it means after your shift closing time after 8 to 6. How many minutes your overtime counter starts? You set up your minutes in your overtime counter. Suppose your organization has an overtime counter after 30 minutes. It means at 31 your overtime would be considered and would start counting. Your minimum minute required for overtime. Minimum minute required for overtime means if an employee payroll is generated, that will be in those 10 or 30 minutes. The minute that you have set for your organization and overtime. In overtime rate, we have 4 different options. Fixed rate per hour, it means that your organization sets up a fixed rate per hour that is dedicated in overtime. That fixed rate could be 500 or it could be 100. Every hour dedicated within that fixed rate will be given to an employee. Equal salary by hour. In equal salary by hour, your total salary is divided hourly basis. That number will be paid in your overtime. Salary by hour multiplied by X. Multiply by X is the rate defined by an organization, and within that, your salary is divided by hour and multiplied with that rate that you're working within that shift. Equal salary per day. In this scenario, your total salary in one day will be given as your overtime payroll. If an employee is working on holidays, how much his payroll will be generated? In holiday and weekend overtime, we set employee's payroll accordingly to the number of hours and days and salary amount generated. In Leave Management Group, you first go to Leave Planner, and here you manage your employees' number of leaves.